From MicrobeTV, this is Office Hours for Wednesday, the 18th of February, 2026. I am Vincent Racaniello, and welcome to your viral corner of the internet. Yeah, learn all about viruses and maybe other things as well. Welcome, everybody. Tell us where you're tell us where you're from. I'll shout you out. Moderators tonight: Vanity Nutrition, Les Fabi, Barb Mac UK. Pretty late over there across the pond. Thank you for coming. Thanks for moderating tonight, folks. Really always appreciate your regulation here. Tonight we have some good things for you. I have 3 news items. I have a mini lecture. I have perhaps a quiz to test your knowledge. This would be lecture now 3, which is genomes and genetics. Learn all about viral genomes. And then if we have time, we'll have some poetry. But here in New Jersey, it is now 4 degrees Celsius. So during the day, it actually rained today. So during the day, it is above freezing, although not at night, so the snow is slowly leaving, and you don't have to bundle up as much. Let's see who's here. Dagfinn is in Norway. Minus 14 and snowy. Oh my gosh. Those days I hope are gone here for this year at least. Bridget is in Evansville, Indiana, 15C, expecting snow. Virus is Luna, nice weather in Iowa. Welcome. Brian is in Knoxville, Tennessee, 15C, expecting rain and generally yucky. Very precise weather term, yucky. Indeed. Tractor Poodle is in Bangkok, 26C, partly cloudy. Winter is officially over. Winter is officially over. So now it's spring, and then it just gets even hotter. So in winter, it's 26C. It's huge. Hot. Oh, my gosh. Visto is in Sydney, Australia, 24C. Greetings, viral capsids. Will is in Changsha, China, where it's AC and damp, and Will has a new icon there. There you go. Hello, Mark Owen Martin from Tacoma, Washington, who's having a rum old fashions in honor of me. Yes, you had the recipe last week, and that's a drink that I had in Houston with you once years ago. It's 4C in Tacoma, cloudy. Just had a bit of hail snow yesterday, but it did not stay. Helen is in Western Massachusetts, 2C, rainy and foggy. Barb Mac is in the West Midlands of England, 0C with snow. Good evening, Vanity. Welcome. Les, good evening. Nice to have you. Daniel, thank you so much for your support of science communication. We need it more than ever. It's minus 26C in Edmonton. Oh my gosh. Question about travel safety for children. Oh my gosh. What steps could you take to minimize a 9-month-old and a 3-year-old risks from infectious diseases in rural Zimbabwe during August? I'm going to send this one to Daniel. If you don't mind, I might forget. I don't know what Zimbabwe holds. But Daniel would know. Why don't you send it to Daniel at MicrobeTV? Because we are recording tomorrow his clinical update, and I will put this in for sure. He would know. Okay, Daniel? Send it to Daniel at MicrobeTV. Kang is in Chicago, where it's 14C. There was sunshine this afternoon, and it's clear tonight. Yeah, we're breaking away from the winter. Hello, Jonathan from Encinitas, where it's 13C and a break from the rain. EHS talent, 3C in Pennsylvania, and damp. Varenika, Privyet. Moscow is -10 and very snowy. Traffic jams will be crazy. Did you see the FDA reversed their decision and has now agreed to review Moderna's mRNA flu vaccine? Yes, that's one of our news articles. We'll talk about it in a bit. Mike is in Burien, Washington, 5C and cloudy with light sprinkles. Maureen is in Northeast Ohio. Good evening, where it's raining. Carol, our favorite nephrologist, Bakersfield, 52F11. See, I have a lovely picture of Carol and her granddaughter on my desk wearing DNA caps from MicrobeTV. We still have a few left if you want them. I know that it's warming up, but well, if they're not gone, we'll just save them till next year. Yeah, you like the quizzes? Yeah, you do well, Vanity. Yeah. So I had an exam in my class this past week, Monday, and we did it in person this year, which is the first time in years. It's the first time since 2019 that I have given exams in person. Why? Well, the pandemic interrupted in-person things, and then I liked it online so much that I just kept it that way. But the administration told me they would prefer if I gave it in person. And so we are printing out 110 exams. They go into a room, spread out, and you get 75 minutes. Yes. Tom, hello from Madison, Wisconsin. 10.6C, too warm for the season. Hat asks, last week's mini lecture on HBV treatment indicated that CAMs would be used in combo with another antiviral. And the study that showed 50% elimination, did they use the CAM alone? Yes, they used the CAM alone, and that was in mice. And it totally did way better than the human trials have done. And so we don't know why. So that has to be sorted out, because it would be nice if the CAM alone works, but it hasn't in people. You get resistance, and it just does not bring down the antigenemia sufficiently. Tim Jones is in Vancouver, where there's dense brain fog. Something got past my flu and COVID boosters. Oh, you have dense brain fog, I see. Raw P. Dogger, 3C and cloudy in England. Tona is on Long Island. A mild day. The snow is melting. Sandra in Mexico, 24C, a little cloudy. Welcome. Area ozone. Asheville, North Carolina, 4 degrees C and clear. Rita is in Idaho, where it's cold but sunny. Logotic is in Chicago, 12C. Pete is in damp London at 5C. Pretty variable temps across the country over quite short distances in U.S. terms. Indeed. Elizabeth is in a damp and slightly chilly West Virginia. Christina is in Hershey, PA, where it's 39F. Robert is in depressing, dismal New Jersey. Well, it's not so bad. I'm in New Jersey. The only problem now in New Jersey is that the trains are all messed up. They're changed because they built a new portal bridge. So there's a train bridge that the trains have gone over for many years. And it's just a few feet above the water. So whenever a boat comes through, it has to turn. And so that slows train traffic. And sometimes it gets stuck open, and that screws train traffic even more. So they built a new one, which is higher, so that it doesn't have to go up when boats can go under it. But now they have this logistical issue of switching all the traffic over. And so I can no longer take a direct train to New York. In the morning, I used to get on a train here and go right in, but now I have to change in Newark. It's not a big deal, but you sit in your chair, you get cozy, you start reading, and then you got to get up. Yeah, anyway. Hat is in the San Fernando Valley, 56F. There are lots of cats on the chat. Trisha's in Massachusetts, where it's lightly drizzling. Hans is in Ecuador, 30°C. Wow, hot and humid. So Tractor says in Bangkok we have winter for a few days, then a very hot summer, then light rain spring, then heavy rain for months, then cooler. I see. Yes, on Puzzcast they talked about someone who ate the raw eye of a bull and got sick. I was looking at that. Oh my gosh. Why would you do that? You want to know what they got, I guess. Let me look it up. I can do that because I just posted it yesterday. It was very interesting. Okay, come down here, Chrome. MicrobeTV. Spillover Squirrel. Do you like that title? I do. I like it very much. TWIV. No, it's not TWIV, Vincent. It's infectious disease. Puzzcast. Come on, Chrome, go backwards. What is it with the backwards buttons on these browsers? Why don't they work? Infectious disease Puzzcast. Number 100 milestone. So TWIV, TWIP, TWIVO, TWIM, Puzzcast. So who's not in the hundreds yet? Is Mark, you're in the hundreds. Let's see. Beyond the Noise is not in the hundreds yet. Immune is in the hundreds. Yeah, Mark is in the hundreds. So it's just, Beyond the Noise that is not in the hundreds. And then all of the MicrobeTV podcasts will be in the hundreds minimum, right? I like that. I think that's pretty cool. So congratulations, Infectious Disease Puzzcast. Here we go. Trichinellosis after consumption of raw bear eyeball. Oh my gosh, why would you do that? This is in the American Journal of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene. It's a report out of Japan. 25-year-old hunter from Hokkaido, Japan, acquired trichinellosis by consuming a raw bear eyeball, a tissue previously presumed to be parasite-free. Developed fatigue and rash within 3 days, followed by fever and myalgia 9 days later. Serology confirmed trichinellosis, and treatment with albendazole led to full recovery. Among 5 hunters who consumed meat from the same bear, only the 2 who ate raw eyeballs developed the disease, whereas those who ate only cooked meat remained asymptomatic. First report of trichinellosis linked to rare bear eyeballs. Kind of hard to say fast. Rare bear eyeballs. Oh my gosh. Helen is in Pittsburgh, where it's damp and 11°C. Our snow is coming Saturday night. It will be in the 70s in freedom units tomorrow. It's insane. Too many cat pictures. Impossible. Mark from Wailea, Hawaii, 24C. Welcome, Mark. Lovely. Hans writes, measles can cause immune amnesia by depleting memory B cells. Could this lack of antibody-producing cells revert some autoimmune diseases? Temporarily, yeah. But that's they'll come back, right? Let's see. Well, you know, if you lose your vaccine memory, you have to get vaccinated again. So I guess the underlying problem that generated antibodies to self-proteins would not be eliminated, but for a while the B cells would be gone. Good question. It's a good question. Anyway, we're talking the mini lectures about measles today, so we'll talk a little bit about immune amnesia. Michelle is in Philly, 4 degrees Celsius. Will, crazy weather. A few days ago it was 27C, and next day it was 6C. Give us the exam on the stream, John says. Well, I could do that. I have to wait till a future date because some people haven't taken it yet. But that would be a long one. It's 24 questions. I could do it. But I could make a shortened version of it. Nay is in Queen Sirikit Park in Bangkok, 27C and humid at 8 a.m. Wow. Wow. User says, I've been training my immune system by snorting various powders of public toilets. I can feel my energy increasing. Indeed. Indeed. Cheryl is in Santa Rosa, California, where it's 49F and cloudy. Hello, Enzo Duarte. Welcome. JJ is in Southwest Florida, 19C. Finally getting warm here. Patricia asks, do you think if hospitals listed the number of children in the hospital from measles, it might help parents rethink the vaccine? I don't know. There's been a lot of, we know how many thousands of cases there have been. People don't seem to mind that, but why don't try it? Yeah, it's okay. It's a good idea. SRR donating through YouTube to raise the algorithm so that more people get directed to office hours. Thank you so much. It's great. I love it. Call me Ishmael for now from Maryland, where it's 5C. Nice to be above freezing for a change. Indeed. Oh, there you go. Barb Mack, guilty as charged. There's the kitty. Mark, hello from Vegas. Wind and some freezing rain, 11C. Diagnoc, relatively warm, -2 evening here in Ottawa. Gave a lecture this morning to my undergrad students on actin microfilaments. Went okay, I think. It's a tough one to get them excited about, right? You got to make it real life somehow. Mark is allergic, highly allergic to cats. It's too bad. I'm sorry to hear about that. SRR, thank you for support of science communication. It is needed and greatly appreciated. Hello, Sandy. I have a news item for you, so stick around. I need to know what you can catch from eating raw steer's eyes. Yeah, well, there you go. A user saw a video of a bear with a 20-foot tapeworm draping out its anus. That's good meat. Oh, my gosh, yeah. Oh, yes, you're right. Angie's only at number 3. I haven't numbered them on YouTube, but yes, she's just starting out. Yeah. There you go. I bear the revenge. Here you go. Here it is. This is a good one. Eyeball, the dish, and microscope. Good. Bear or bull? It was a... let's see. No, in the article abstract, they don't say it, but let's look at Puscast. It doesn't say. Let's see if, and I can't get the article. I don't know. Sorry about that. Bet I know who the raw bear eaters voted for. I don't know. It's in Japan. Barb Mack, I learned about measles amnesia from your virology class. I was horrified. We've got rising cases in the UK due to anti-vax stuff. Abdur Rahman from Manhattan, welcome. Sandy writes, I was successful this year in not getting a cold or the flu or COVID or anything. Of course, I stayed home a lot, and when I went out, I wore a mask. First year I haven't had any illness. It was great. 2C in western New York. Middle of nowhere, dense fog and drizzly. Gray, overcast. Kind of ugly day. Hey, Vincent Mark says, you've traveled to many places in this odd world. Where is a place you would like to go that you have not been? There are many. There are many places. I've never been anywhere in Africa. I think I should go. I think I should go somewhere there, but I'm not sure where. I very much want to visit China, but I also want to visit Vietnam. I mean, I don't know what the top one is. Maybe, I'm not sure, but those are all up there. And there are many other countries I'd like to visit. Well, this fall, I'll visit Portugal. I've never been there. Going there for a meeting. And the Czech Republic in June. Never been there. Going there for a meeting. Tractor Poodle was unknowingly attacked by an insect and took a photo of the inflammation. ChatGPT said to monitor for scrub typhus. What do you know about scrub typhus? I don't know too much. Daniel would know. But, it's caused by a bacterium. And it's transmitted by larval mites, chiggers. Okay? So I don't know if other things transmit it. It used to be called another name, but now the name is Orientia tsugamushi. I love this, tsugamushi. So you get it from an infected chigger. And it's endemic in Southeast Asia, so there you go. Indonesia, etc. And you should get symptoms 6 to 21 days after exposure. You get a dark ulcer scab at the bite site. You can have high fever, headache, muscle pain, lymphadenopathy, mental changes from confusion to coma, treatable with docs within 48 hours of symptoms. Okay, so if you have any of those symptoms, you go to a doc and get some docs. Ask the doc for docs. Thank you for your contribution to science communication, John. Really appreciate it. That's what Junior said. I'm not scared of a germ. I used to snort cocaine off of toilet seats. Yeah, fine. Just keep doing it. This is just a jerk. For an HHS secretary to say something stupid like that is unbelievable. Yeah, I can't get the bear visual, the bear eyeball visual out of your head. Yeah. Jeff is in Elgin, Illinois. 7C and clear. Sandy wants to go to China. I have a stepsister-in-law from China, and my stepbrother's son also married a Chinese gal, and my parents went to both weddings. I should have gone when I had a chance. Yeah, I'm I'm considering going to a meeting in Hong Kong this summer, and so if I do that, I'll try and pop over to the mainland. Yeah. Raw P. Dogger, I'm still listening to the old Twivs, and sometime in episode 260 you mentioned how the HPV vaccine didn't have any virus and it's just protein. Is it still just proteins? It still is. Yes, virus-like particles, no nucleic acid, just pure protein. Very, very safe vaccine. Okay, let's do some news items here. This one is for Sandy. Now, this is not virology, but this is just another example of how the current administration is just messing with science, right? Just messing with science. So what are they doing? Let me close this window here. Here we go. This is a Nature article. U.S. repeals key endangerment finding that climate change is a public threat. Okay, so this frickin' EPA, head by this moron, Lee Zeldin, they have revoked the endangerment finding, which is a cornerstone to curb emissions. It basically means, for the first time in 17 years, the EPA will no longer consider greenhouse gases a threat to public health and welfare. That's because, as Lee Zeldin says, they will save the U.S. money. But, of course, it's going to make people sick. You freaking ass. You think money is more important than people's health? What freaking planet are you from? Oh, my God. But this is not something new. This administration does this all the time. They don't value human health. Maybe they value their own health, but not of us lackeys in the country. And so they make regulations that will save companies money. I don't care about saving companies money, folks. I'm sorry, because you know who gets it? The upper management gets any extra money they make, and they don't need it. The workers don't get it. So this was the legal underpinning for regulations to limit emissions. And so now they're going to roll back emission rules for cars and trucks and other vehicles and probably other sectors later, like power production. They will add billions of tons of greenhouse gases to the atmosphere in the coming decades. Now, federal law requires the EPA to make decisions on the basis of science, but this rejects the science, right? There's no scientific rationale for this decision except money. It's all about money. And I'm sure environmental groups are going to sue, and this could make its way all the way up to the Supreme Court. I'd love to hear what those bozo conservatives say about this, that no, the government can't regulate pollution. It has to be a free market, blah, 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 when they sit in their sterilized room and with no air pollution. Trump said this is finding the original rule had nothing to do with public health. It was a ripoff of the country. There's a moron if I ever saw one. It had nothing to do with public health. What the hell do you think it was about? Brainless? Oh, my God. The dumbest person on the earth at the moment. Anyway, this is really upsetting. This article is open access, so go check it out if you want to get upset. You see, I get all wired up about it, and this is not even virology, because this is just an example of how this administration is ignoring science. And who's paying? You are paying with your health, okay? They're eliminating vaccines, and they're eliminating pollution controls, and many, many other things as well. It's so sad. Okay, next sad article. This one, unbelievable. Another Nature article. Key U.S. Infectious Diseases Center to drop pandemic preparation. Staff members have been instructed to scrub this topic and biodefense from the agency's website. This is NIH, NIAID. So staff members at NIAID have been instructed to remove the words biodefense and pandemic preparedness from the Institute's web pages. The directive comes from the head of NIAID, who is Terence Tumpy. No, not Terence Tumpy. It is Jeff Taubenberger. And, of course, this is probably Bhattacharya's desire. He said it's a complete transformation of NIAID away from this old model that has historically prioritized research on HIV, biodefense, and pandemic preparedness. We will focus more on immunology and other infectious diseases currently affecting people in the U.S. rather than on predicting future diseases. Another moron with no foresight, all right? This is just unbelievable. Of course we focus on HIV and pandemic preparedness because well, first of all, HIV is the pandemic right now. It still is, and we can't protect people very well. And secondly, we need to know what's happening in the future so we can be ready. This guy has no clue what he's doing. Zero clue. Oh, gosh. Anyway, so this is bad, and this article is also open access, and you can read it and get more pissed off than I am. It's not open access, actually. You see it fades out here, and I have to. But you get the gist of it, right? And one more article. If that's not enough, well, this is actually better, and it's already been mentioned here. FDA reverses decision and agrees to review Moderna's flu vaccine. Well, you reverse your decision, which was ill decided in the first place. You didn't think clearly. So Moderna had talked to the FDA, and they said they will accept its application for approval. So Moderna said it split its application for the flu vaccine based on age, seeking a traditional approval for people 50 to 64 and accelerated approval for those 65 and older. The company also said it agreed to conduct an additional study among those 65 and older once the vaccine reached the market. Moderna said Wednesday the FDA set a deadline of August to decide whether to approve the vaccine. If approved, it will be available for those older adults in the flu season that begins later this year. So, of course, this is an mRNA flu vaccine, which RFK Jr. has criticized mRNA technology in general. He has cut money to support it. That's probably behind what Prasad did last week by saying we're not going to review this because he doesn't like, that's the party line, not to like mRNA vaccines. So there you go. And Bansal, the chief executive of Moderna, said the current uncertainty in the U.S. FDA regulatory environment creates real challenges for businesses, patients, and the broader innovation ecosystem. Being nice about it. Oh my gosh, now that's not the right thing. There you go. Okay, so that's our news for today. Let's see what you folks have to say about that. Okay, thank you for your contribution to science communication. Sandy, any bit is great, and the thought is what matters. We appreciate that you're thinking of us. Hello, MN. The snow is melting in the D.C. area. Robert is not on the Epstein list. But why is Elvis on the Epstein list? Is it just because his name was mentioned by people? So then anybody could be on it. Well, that's why MicrobeTV will never be on it, because we're invisible to these people. Drill, baby, drill. That's it. Coal, polluting engines. Oh my God! If the companies had any, what's the word I'm looking for? If they wanted to do the right thing, there must be a word that summarizes that. They would still keep pollution levels down. I think that would be. I would buy a car from any company who did that and say, we're not going to change the emissions. We're keeping them the same. Not that I need any car, but I would. Lori is in Calgary, Alberta. Today had to feel like a temperature of minus 39 C, which is basically same as minus 39 F. Oh my gosh. Going up to around 0 C next week due to what is called a Chinook wind. Oh, I've been watching Lee Zeldin since the beginning. Huge topic in my circles. This is definitely the human extinction presidency. Yep. Yes, endangerment finding won't necessarily save money in the long view. No, because people are going to get sick and the medical costs are going to go up and other things are going to break. Oh my God. But the Dow was over 50,000. You're right. All of this doesn't matter. The Dow was over 50,000. The new logic of Pam. Bill, baby, drill, burn, baby, burn. Jerk did the same thing with the Clean Air Act. Yep. And you're right, Jeff. The GOP has been denying environmental problems because they care only about money. That this drives wildlife population declines. That is an extinction event. We have crossed 7 of the 9 planetary boundaries. Mark, benzene, lead, and mercury are good for all of us. That's right. Nevitz writes, this will have to all be reversed 100%, but the RW SCOTUS will bless it all. It's all in Project 2025. I hope they don't. I mean, why would they be against it? But who knows? They'll find a reason. And it'll be along the conservative liberal lines, right? Excuse me. Sorry, my mute button is not working. Aubrey writes, good evening from Richmond. It's about 14C. I am celebrating President Trumpstein's record low approval with homemade whole wheat biscuits and chicken Spanish soup. Election day is coming. That sounds delicious. Enjoy it. Markets create problems. They have never solved any. Proof is in the difference between conditions before and after regulation. Veronica writes, sick people are horrible for the economy, but CEOs and shareholders about anything apart from immediate profits. Science is an extinction event in the U.S. I think they really are trying to kill us, and I hate sounding like a conspiracy nut. They don't care about us, not at all. Tom figured this pandemic preparedness article would make VR's news. They feel safe in their private islands. That's right. One death is a tragedy. Millions are just a statistic. In 2019, UK PM Boris Johnson scrapped the Cabinet Committee on Pandemic Preparedness. Spot on timing. Well, when Trump came into office, in 2017, he did the same. He scrapped it. We had a plan from Obama, and he scrapped it. Visto writes, all these cutbacks on public health make perfect sense to corporates that value humans at $0 value. That's right. They're only worth the chemicals that they are made of. It's like 50 cents. Mark has no problem taking the Moderna flu vaccine. Neither do I. I have no problem whatsoever. I will, it's in their clinical trial. In fact, maybe we should do a mini lecture next week on the results. We could go over the results because hardly anyone's reading them. And if I remember, there was an improvement over the inactivated vaccine. So I will take it for sure. Yeah, I'll try it. Mark writes, if you kill people off before they get old, look at the bottom line. Yes, that's right. No spending money on dementias and old people's diseases, right? Eliza, it's 0C in southern Ontario, Canada. Big storm today. The climate change piece you mentioned also impacts diseases and viruses, if I remember correctly. Well, yes, as climate change is impacting viruses, their vectors have a wider range, and so yes, it will as well. Although, the thing that they did here is all about air pollution, and that will affect diseases also because a determinant of respiratory disease is air pollution. So more air pollution, you get more severe disease. We will not be prepared for the next pandemic at this rate. No. They're just, how can you be so short-sighted and say, we don't care about future diseases, only what's here? A fourth grader would probably know better than that. Drumpf and the GOP, are setting up ticking time bombs. What's going to go first? Thwaites Glacier, AMOC, methane cladorates release in Siberian permafrost, or the next pandemic? I don't know. It's your guess, right? I think there's a deliberate plan for culling of the herd. Well, they don't want to help people who can't help themselves, right? If you need medical help, if you need food, if you need education, forget it. You're not going to get any help. Yeah. Yeah. Soul Symphony writes, not invisible to our cohort of virology students here in Minnesota. Hello, Dorothy. Just below freezing and snowing all day in Duluth. Thunder snow about 11 last night. Windy. Neighbor's tree fell in my daughter's yard. Driving home was interesting. Joseph, hello. Does RFK Jr. continue to have financial interests in alleged vaccine injury lawsuits against pharmaceutical companies? He certainly does. He serves as advisor for law firms, and he gets paid very well. Nev, it's the words you are looking for. If those companies had any chutzpah or cajones, I'm not holding my breath. I'm looking for words that they would be, interested in preserving the environment and bettering the planet and so forth. But those are good too. Yep. Every day, Mark gets depressed. The enormous sewage spill into the Potomac. Indeed. Indeed. Stephen, hello. Thank you for educating people and sharing your thoughts. I feel crazy sometimes when I hear people touting the miasma theory or terrain theory of Bisham. I don't understand. I just don't get it. I don't know what DGAF is. I'm sorry. I could look it up. Yeah, let me look it up. DGAF. Oh, I get it. Yeah. So don't give a F. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, so they don't care about us, but they do care about our taxes. They want our money. You know, the immigrants that they want to kick out have paid billions of dollars in taxes, right? Many of them are law-abiding citizens. They pay their taxes. If they've been here for 15 years, leave them alone. For God's sakes. Okay, we'll look at the Moderna data next week. Seems to be a good idea. I don't know what thunder snow is. A couple of people are excited about thunder snow. So tell me what it is. John writes, preying on fear gains them influence. Selling fake cures and supplements lines their pockets, as do frivolous lawsuits. And I think they believe it in some cases and are blinded by greed and others. I think they're very greedy. Speaking of supplements, I saw a cartoon in the New Yorker today. There are two carts selling snake oil. That's right. They both have snake oil signs, and one of them, all the customers are going to because they have, what is it? It's something you put in things to make it, more shishi snake oil. I can't remember. It would be like a flavor you could add to something to make it more exotic or exclusive. And so, something snake oil, and all the customers were going to that one. It's great. Yeah, warming climate. Mosquitoes that carry malaria will go north, and viruses as well. Hello, Mark. Sorry I'm late. It's windy, rainy, and cool in California's Central Coast. Pete writes, trying to keep old coal power stations won't save money over continuing the development of renewables. Fortunately, solar power won't be stopped even if it have a hold on wind turbines. Yeah, the idea to use coal is absurd. It's just dumb. But it's all about saving money, right? In good conscience, thank you. And if any of them had a conscience, yes, they would not relax their emission standards. Very good. Thank you very much. Weren't there mosquitoes for the first time in Greenland or Iceland? Sounds familiar. Let's look it up. Are there mosquitoes in Greenland or Iceland? Greenland has a significant mosquito population, particularly in the summer, so they are abundant. But yes, they were found in Iceland for the first time. This is an article in The Guardian last year. Mosquitoes found in Iceland for the first time as climate crisis warms country. 3 specimens discovered in what was previously one of the few places in the world without mosquitoes. Iceland is warming at 4 times the rate of the rest of the normal hemisphere. Yeah, there you go. And they can bring viruses with them, right? Yep. Sandy writes, ecological overshoot occurs when human demand for natural resources and ecological services exceeds what the earth can regenerate in a given period. IF specialist from Madawaska, Maine. It's -6C, occasional snow flurries. Welcome. Lori feels sad for younger generation. What kind of world are we leaving them? They have the opportunity, if they're voting age, right, to change it in November. Okay. Thunder and lightning during a snowstorm is thunder snow. Okay, I've never experienced that. Nope. Hello, Jill 5C in Wilmington, Delaware. Welcome. Thank you very much. Pete gets a touch of smugness from my ownership of a tiny bit of a co-op wind farm above Ayr in Scotland. They are above Trump's Turnbull Golf Course. Yes, it's great. It's great. Love it. Truffle. Tom, how did you guess it was truffle? Yes. So the one guy had snake oil and the other guy had truffle snake oil, and they were all flocking to him. You must have seen The New Yorker, or maybe you understand what I was trying to say. Truffle is science, Mark. Relax. We've actually done some science before you got here. So relax. And climate change is science as well. The temperature went up, maybe not quite so fast, 56 million years ago, called the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum. Yes, of course, it's gone up multiple times. Yes. Raw P. Dogger, should I get my HPV vaccine? I know it's a stupid question, but we heard horrible things about it, many from people I know, and it's pretty scary. I do have the option to get it. I'm just worried. There's no horrible things. Any horrible things you have heard about HPV vaccine are lies, Raw P. Dogger. You should get it because it will prevent cancer. Okay? There are many thousands. There used to be thousands of cases of cancers caused by HPV in the U.S. alone. Get it. There's no downside. Okay? No downside. Ms. Blue Ocean writes, coal is so gross. I have 2 gigantic backup batteries, portable solar panels. I'm all electric, and my electric bill was less than $50. I heat with wood, though. That's my pollutant. Yeah, it's a bit of a pollutant there, yeah. Yeah, mosquitoes in Singapore were genetically treated, and it diminished their population. Yeah, it was an interview I did there. They put Wolbachia into the mosquitoes and release it, and that decreases the mosquito population. It actually makes them resistant to dengue. Yeah. Tom looked up the snake oil cartoon. I know people in Oregon who find truffles using dogs to sniff them out. Ah, that's so cool. Hello, Questella. Welcome. Dia Hans Sims. Hi, because I watched you and Dr. Daniel Griffin yesterday. When I went to my doctor, I told him I wanted the HPV vaccine, even though I'm in my 50s because of the podcast. So I will get it. Yay! Good for you. I'm glad your doctor agreed, because we hear stories of many doctors agreeing not to not agreeing to give older people the vaccine. So good for you. That's very good. It's so funny. And Patricia writes, we have all seen those free flu shot sandwich boards outside grocery stores and CVS. Well, guess what? Free only if you have insurance. So not free. And public clinics now charging uninsured. Well, that's unfortunate. But, you know, some of us are lucky to have insurance and not have to pay for that. Now, let's do a mini lecture here, and then we'll come back. So this is on measles. I thought I had the brilliant idea to do a measles mini lecture because it's in the news and you need to know about it, right? So here is measles. Let's open it up. What's the upper age limit to get HPV? Well, it's been clinically tried up to 45 years, but you can now, according to the latest study that we did on TWIV, the meta-analysis, you can get it at any age because there is evidence that even having the vaccine when you're older is helpful. Where is my lecture? Come on, I don't like Dropbox anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Come on, open up. What's the problem? It's here. The file is here. Oh, there's something weird about it, huh? Hold on. There we go. Now it's fully synced. You know, they hadn't fully synced, so it wouldn't open. Paramyxoviridae. That's right. Oh, come on. Stinking Dropbox. I don't like Dropbox. Pardon me, folks. It's clearly not synced. Yeah, it's not synced. So I have to go to the website and download it. Hang on. I'm trying to wean MicrobeTV off of Dropbox. It is just not, in my opinion, not ready for business, although they think they are. But I read an article that, no, I don't want my two-factor setup. No, I'm trying to do some work. They're having a lot of trouble because they have nothing new, and so that's not good. So this is under office hours. And it is 2026, and it's the 18th. Come on, download. No, I don't want you to show it in Dropbox. Why would anyone want to do that? Let's download it. Thank you very much. And Dropbox with truffles. The premium level of Dropbox. I'm not going to purchase the premium level of Dropbox. What the hell? Why won't it open? I even downloaded it and it won't open. 7.8 mega. No, that's not right. It's way more than 7.8 megabytes. Let me see if it's on my other computer. Sometimes this one's a little verkakta. And then I can always send it over. You know, just when you depend on technology and it fails you. It's just not right. Make available offline. So this presentation, no, it's not 8 megabytes. There's no way. No, it opens on my other computer. So what do I do here? Let's quit Dropbox and quit Keynote, I mean. And we will try and open it again because the size is correct. It opens on the other machine. There we go. Okay, we're all set for a little mini lecture. Let's do this. Measles. All right. Measles is a member of the Paramyxoviridae. It is an enveloped virus. There's the schematic there in the middle, an envelope virus with a negative stranded RNA genome. And it, of course, the envelope has glycoproteins in it so that the virus can attach to cells. and the genomic RNA is negative stranded, which means that there is an RNA polymerase in the cell. In the virus particle shown here, because the RNA has to be copied to messages when it comes into cells. Can't be translated, right? Here on the left is an electron micrograph. You can see the nucleocapsid, the RNA protein complex, inside the envelope. Very contagious virus. If you like R naughts, and I don't, it's got a high R naught, which means one infected person can infect many others. All right, so here's the genome. At the top, negative strand genome. I'm not sure the length right now. How long is measles RNA? Let's find out. It's almost 16,000 bases long, 16 kb. And when the RNA comes into cells, of course, it's coated in a protein, and there's a polymerase associated with it. And in the cytoplasm of the cell, the RNA is translated into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 subgenomic mRNAs. Subgenomic means they're shorter than the genome, and mRNAs, of course, means that they can then be translated by ribosomes. And they encode the viral proteins, the polymerase here, the L, the hemagglutinin neuraminidase, one of the spikes, the F, the fusion protein, the other spike, the matrix protein. What's the matrix? It is a protein that is right underneath the membrane, those little blue balls there, matrix protein, and then some other accessory proteins, P, V, and C, and then the nucleocapsid protein. Okay, here's the reproduction cycle. The virus attaches to a cell surface receptor, nectin-4, as you're going to see in a moment, and the viral envelope fuses right at the surface. No low pH needed. So the fusion happens right at the cell surface, and the nucleocapsid is right in the cytoplasm, where what happens at that polymerase that's associated with the genome makes mRNAs, and those are translated by ribosomes to make the viral proteins, including the polymerase. And the polymerase will then copy the negative strand into a full-length plus strand, and that's copied again into a negative strand, which will eventually be incorporated in new virus particles once all the viral proteins are made. And of course, those proteins are made by translation of the viral mRNAs. The structural proteins are inserted into the Golgi, first into the ER and then the Golgi, and are shipped to the surface, the H, N, and the F proteins. And then the M, the nucleocapsid, and the other proteins associate with the RNA, and this buds out to form new particles. So that's beginning to end the infectious cycle. So pathogenesis of the disease, there is one viral serotype, right? So it doesn't have 3 like polio. It doesn't have antigenic variation that would evade the vaccine. It appears that infection confers lifelong protection. That's why we say if you lived in the 50s, you most likely had measles, because every kid got infected almost, and you're protected against the measles virus that's circulating today because people are concerned. It's transmitted by inhalation of respiratory droplets and aerosols. So what do I mean? Droplets are the larger, they're really all droplets. The aerosol is a word that people have used to mean the finer droplets that travel long distances, and measles can be transmitted by those as well as the larger droplets. You are contagious to others 2 to 3 days before the rash, so you could feel perfectly fine and go about your business and infect other people. And once you have the rash, though, you should know it's measles, or you should go to a doctor, and they will say, this is measles, you ought to stay home. And but before then, you could be spreading it. Now, we talk a lot about asymptomatic infections in virology here and on the podcast and so forth. But for measles, there aren't too many asymptomatic infections. Nearly all infected individuals show signs and symptoms of disease. They may be mild, they may be more severe, but most people do. So here's the pathogenesis. You inhale the virus, right? You inhale someone else's respiratory droplets that they have exhaled, and if they have virus in it, that will initiate an infection. You know, I walk by people, and if I'm in a crowd, I wear a mask. But sometimes I'm on the street and I walk past someone and I smell their breath, and that really bothers me because it means, yeah, I could have inhaled their breath. If I smelled it, I have. And it's on the street because New York is crowded. Here you go. The virus is coming in the nasopharynx. And then we go to the right here. It's reproducing it infects the respiratory, well, no, it doesn't actually. It passes through. It does not infect the respiratory epithelium. It enters dendritic cells and macrophages and lymphocytes that are present in the respiratory epithelium. And those cells come out of the epithelium and bring virus to the rest of the body. All right, so the virus initially does not infect the respiratory epithelium. Why? There's no receptor on the apical surface of the respiratory epithelium. The receptor's on the bottom. But this virus gets in by infecting immune cells that are percolating through the epithelium. Those cells, so DCs and macrophages, their job is to sample mucosal surfaces, among other things, and then go to the lymph node and present what they have. And it's like a Trojan horse. They're bringing virus to the lymph node, and this virus loves lymphocytes. It will love to reproduce in them, so you get more reproduction there. And then the virus enters the blood. You get your first viremia. And that virus can bring that blood spread can bring the virus to multiple organs, including the skin and the CNS, etc. And so the skin, of course, eventually you would get the characteristic rash, which is an immunopathological reaction. It's viruses infecting cells, and the immune response is coming in, and it makes a rash. Now, and I'll show you a timeline for the pathogenesis of infection in a moment. How does the virus get out to infect someone else? Well, immune cells that are infected with measles virus, they're coming into the respiratory tract. They are, going near the epithelial cell surface, going under it or in it. But on the bottom of the epithelial cell surface, the basolateral surface, that was a stupid thing to say, the bottom of the surface. On the basolateral surface of epithelial cells, there is a receptor for measles virus, Nectin-4. So the measles virus binds that receptor. It's released by immune cells, for example. Binds the receptor, reproduces in the epithelial cells, and is shed apically. And that's how you spread it, because this virus ends up in your secretions from talking or sneezing or coughing, right? So this is the key thing about measles. There's no receptor on the apical domain of the respiratory epithelium. So the virus gets in via immune cells. When the virus is ready to go out, and of course it has to spread to someone else, it goes in the bottom where there is a receptor, replicates in the epithelium, and then is released. Very, very clever, don't you think? And then it spreads to other people. Okay, so that's the transmission, the infection and the transmission. The pathology, uncomplicated measles, high fever, 38C or above. Of course, we have respiratory symptoms, coryza and cough, conjunctivitis, Koplik spots in the mouth. This is very typical. So here's a child that has way too many cavities, apparently, but these little white spots are Koplik spots. They are fused cells. So measles virus induces syncytium formation, the fusion of neighboring infected cells, and that's what those Koplik spots are. So they can be diagnostic of measles early on. And then, of course, a rash from the face to the extremities, as you can see here in this child. Because, again, the rash is an immunopathological reaction. Virus is in the rash, but it's a rash because the T cells that are coming in and causing that inflammation. So here's the timeline here, days after infection. So we have about an 8-day incubation period before the incubation period is defined as the period before you have symptoms. In other words, the stuff that you can feel. So obviously there are signs of infection, and that includes the primary viremia spread to draining lymph nodes, secondary viremia spread to body surfaces, and you're not feeling any of that until, so the first, well, I'm not sure you could look in your mouth and see a Koplik spots, but then after 8 days you would have virus shedding, Koplik spots, fever, and malaise. So now you have symptoms, and you know that you're sick. And then the rash appears around day 14, antibody. And look at this Andy-Toby production, antibody production, and continued shedding. And so, as I said, the virus shedding begins a couple of days before the appearance of symptoms, and then continues for up to 3 weeks, as you can see here. And then about 3 weeks is when you can start to recover. So this is a rather protracted disease. So that's uncomplicated. Assuming everything goes well, you're free and clear in 3 weeks. And you know, there's a 2-week period of shedding, so you got to stay home a long time. So measles complications, there are a lot of them. It's not just a mild disease, RFK Jr., knowledge-less person. Acute post-infectious encephalitis, 1 in 1,000 kids. Encephalitis is not anything to laugh at. You end up with permanent neurological impairments, including cognitive and motor function. Bronchitis, pneumonia, otitis, right? Ear infections. Fatality, 1 to 2 per 1,000. We've already seen 3 deaths in the U.S. However, if you're in a country where kids are not fed well, the fatality can be as high as 30%. Fortunately, we have food in the U.S., but you know that's why in countries that have food issues, we say if you get measles, you can take vitamin A and it will reduce that fatality rate. But that only works in countries with poor nutrition. It doesn't prevent infection. It just prevents you from dying. But you remember RFK Jr. in Texas during the outbreak, he said, oh, just take vitamin A, you'll be fine. No, you're a moron with no knowledge of medicine. Subacute sclerosing panencephalitis. I'm going to tell you about this in detail on the next slide, but it's a neurological degenerative disease. Immunosuppression leading to secondary infections. What's that? The virus replicates in B and T cells, B and T lymphocytes. So their function is compromised, and so you are not able to mount proper immune responses to other microbes that might be infecting you. And this is the main cause of death in third world children because they can't combat these infections. It used to kill lots of kids in the U.S. until the vaccine. And finally, the infection erases immune memory. Okay, what's SSPE? This is a fatal, progressive neurodegenerative disease. So what does that mean? I mean, one day the kid wakes up and can't speak properly, has cognitive issues, maybe has some motor function, and it gets worse. So that's neurodegenerative, losing those functions, and it gets worse and worse. That's progressive, and it's fatal, almost uniformly fatal. It's caused by a persistent form of the measles virus that gets into the brain and stays there forever. It's not infectious in the sense that it could spread to another person. It's actually a defective virus, but it's still good at spreading within the brain. And obviously it causes this pathology. So the rate is between 4 and 11 cases per 100,000 measles infections. But if you're infected before the age of 1 year, it can be 1 in 600 and between 1 in 600 and 1,300. These are numbers from studies. That's why that 1367, right? So infected before age 1, you have a higher chance of getting SSPE. So this doesn't happen for 6 to 8 years after the initial measles virus infection. So we've had a big outbreak of measles last year and ongoing this year. And in 6 to 8 years, we're going to see some kids having SSPE in the U.S. We've eliminated that with vaccination. But now we have not enough vaccination. Measles is back. We're going to see SSPE as well. These kids will all die, universally fatal within 2 years of onset. And in countries that vaccinate against measles, the incidence of SSP has dropped over 90%, but there's still many countries that have a lot of measles cases, as you're going to see. All right, so that's SSPE. Now, the next thing I want to tell you is erasure of immune memory. So I want to first tell you the method that was used to figure this out. It's called VirScan, or it's also called viral history in a drop of blood, because that's what you do. You take a drop of blood and you mix it with phages that have been programmed to make thousands and thousands of protein sequences or epitopes from every known human pathogen. You name it: norovirus, rotavirus, influenza virus, poliovirus, herpes virus, coronaviruses, rabies virus, all of them. And so you have an array of thousands and thousands of phages, and on their surfaces they're producing, a 12 amino acid sequence specific for each virus. You mix the blood with this phage and you immunoprecipitate it, and then you can quantify the number of antibodies detected, because each phage is barcoded, so you know what antigen is there. And so you can construct this array where each line is a different virus, and then you have the number of antiviral antibodies detected, low at the bottom and high at the top, right? So, yellows and reds and oranges are high, and then the dark colors are low. So you can see what you have been infected with your whole life, because you always maintain some antibodies to everything you've been infected with, even if it's very low, and this is very sensitive. So that's how this was done. So the study that was done was to take kids in the Netherlands. They have a cohort of families who don't vaccinate their kids against measles, but they do let them be used in clinical trials. So they took samples of blood from those kids 2 months before and 2 months after a measles outbreak, because of course there was a measles outbreak in that population, okay? And they did a VirScan. So they used VirScan to track antibodies to thousands of pathogen epitopes in 77 unvaccinated children before and 2 months after measles infection. So that's the two columns here. These are scatter plots where the thousands of dots are all smushed together, and so they look like a solid color. Okay. And we have 3 controls. These were other kids in other communities who didn't have measles. And then we have some other members of this community, the anti-vax community, kids. These are all kids who were not vaccinated, but they didn't get measles. And then we have kids who were vaccinated in this community with MMR. And we have kids who developed mild measles and severe measles. And so what we're looking at here are the numbers of antibodies against human viruses that these kids have. And so you see between the 2 months before and 2 months after, well, of course, these people weren't infected. So is it just the 2 time points? They took them 2 months apart. There's no difference in the number of epitopes between the 2 time points. The kids who got measles, mumps, rubella vaccine, they actually increased the number of epitopes that they recognized. I don't know why that is. But then the kids with measles, you see they had a decrease in the number of epitopes recognized by antibodies in these kids' blood. So that's what we mean by measles erases immune memory, or it's called immune amnesia. Measles caused elimination of 11 to 73% of the antibody repertoire in these kids. And here's another look at this. This is fold change in epitope hits here, a different way of expressing the same data. You can see the controls are all at 1. The vaccinated kids have gone up, and the mild and severe measles, they've had a decrease in the epitope hits. And this happens because measles virus infects B and T memory cells and plasma cells. So not just the currently producing antibodies, but the memory ones that are needed for the future. So if a kid has had a lot of vaccines and you get measles, they have to get all the vaccines again because they've lost all the memory from those vaccinations. So it's really stupid because you're not just not getting MMR, now you're not getting all the other vaccines. And so we'll see in these populations of kids who have measles, we'll see other infections start to rise as well. So that's measles immune amnesia. Okay, so how do you prevent measles? Well, here are the numbers. In the U.S., before vaccine, there were 3 to 4 million cases per year in the U.S., 400 to 500 deaths, 48,000 hospitalizations, and 1,000 kids a year with chronic disability from encephalitis. This is not a trivial disease, and RFK Jr. is either lying or being stupid when he says it's just a mild disease. We stopped endemic transmission of measles in 2000 by vaccinating kids. In other words, no more measles virus circulating within the U.S. Occasionally, a case would come in from other countries, and sometimes there would be a few cases in unvaccinated kids, but most people were vaccinated, so there was not endemic transmission. But as you know, in 1998, the Wakefield report claiming that MMR caused autism led to decreased immunization in initially outbreaks in the UK, where he worked, and Ireland, and then that moved over to the U.S. because the people in the U.S. also thought that they shouldn't vaccinate their kids because of his report. And the outbreaks began again after that, a few years after that. And now, of course, they're amplified by the failure of Health and Human Services and CDC to recommend measles vaccination in the face of an outbreak. Nice going, folks. It's really smart. Good for everyone's health for you to not recommend vaccination for reasons that are not based on science at all. You should be ashamed of yourself. You think you're proud of yourself, don't you, by achieving some verkakta stuff, but you should be ashamed of yourself. So here are the reported measles cases in the U.S., right? 500,000 a year, pre-vaccine, licensed in 1963, rapid drop, but not complete elimination. So in 1989, we recommend a second dose because there's some evidence that the durability is not as good as it could be. And then in 2000, we declare elimination, no more endogenous circulation of the virus. So that's through 2023. But as you know, after the Wakefield baloney, we started to have cases here and there in 22, 23, and 24. And then last year, 2025, huge number of cases, and that's continuing this year into 2026. So look at this curve, okay? This is ridiculous, 2025. There's absolutely no reason for this. This is vaccine preventable. We know this because we did it before. People are really ignorant. Okay, where are these cases? 2025, pretty much every state had some measles cases, right? 0 is gray. And then we have different colors of blue. The lighter shades are fewer cases. So big outbreak in Texas, which spread to New Mexico and Arizona and Utah. And now big outbreak also in South Carolina, which is continuing now in South Carolina in 2026. So a lot of states already in 2026 have cases. I don't have the numbers here, but you get the picture. Okay. Actually, I do think, yeah, here are the numbers here. But just as an example, this is an outbreak in Brooklyn in 2018. This is a community in Brooklyn that does not vaccinate, okay? And you can see different parts of Brooklyn and Staten Island and Queens, different colors here. These kids were not vaccinated. They had a measles outbreak, several hundred cases, as you can see here, eventually controlled by vaccination. This was back in 2019 when we could tell people, or we did tell people, to vaccinate in the face of an outbreak. Okay, so here are the numbers in the U.S. 2025, 2,280 cases, 580 under 5 years old, 1,000 5 to 19 years of age, 670 20 plus years, and then 93% unvaccinated or unknown, and very few had been vaccinated. So, vaccination prevents measles. Now, this year to date, we have 900 already, and we're not even 2 months in. Again, the numbers are similar for the ages, and again, 94% unvaccinated. This is an outbreak of stupidity, folks. Sorry. No other way to put it. I don't care if you're scared of vaccination or your religion says you can't. It's just stupid to put kids in danger. Now, this is not a situation unique to the U.S. This is measles case distribution by month and WHO region, right? The WHO splits the world into 8 regions, which are shown here: African, Americas, Eastern Mediterranean, Europe, Southeast Asia, Western Pacific, right? That's what the colors are. And you can see this is 2018, 276,000 global cases. 2019, 540,000. And then it goes down a bit, goes up in 23 and 24, down a bit. And we don't have data for 2026 yet. But this, in many countries, it's because they don't vaccinate. They don't have vaccine, and they don't have the funds to do it. So these are the countries that have measles. This is the measles incidence rate per million in the previous 12-month period. And the darker the color, the more measles. And you can see Canada is very dark here. And, our population has saved us because this is a rate calculation. Mexico, many countries in Africa, Russia, many of the former republics, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Georgia, etc. Lots of measles. And here are the top 10 countries with measles. Mongolia, this is the previous year. I don't know why the U.S. isn't here. I mean, these are incidents. These are the rates. I guess it's a combination of cases and rate. I don't know why the U.S. isn't on here. Mongolia is the top. Kyrgyzstan, Yemen, Laos, Angola, Afghanistan, Romania, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, and Rwanda. So we have a long ways to go. This is all vaccine preventable, but mostly because we're not vaccinating. Okay, I hope that's useful for you. Hope you learned something. And, yeah. Let's see if we have any comments. I will scroll back to where we stopped. Okay. Eric writes, measles coverage of measles doesn't cover immune amnesia. It doesn't cover most of the serious outcomes. I don't know how we fix it. I tell you here, you have to tell everybody else. What else can I do? I don't know. What is Dropbox? It's a file sharing thing you have running on your computer as a folder, and you put files in it. They get uploaded to the cloud and stored there, and you can share them across computers. So we use them at MicrobeTV to share all of our files, especially the video and audio files for the podcast. I use them in my teaching, right? I work at home, I work at the incubator, and I can share the files, and then I can go to the lecture hall and pull the file out from there and so forth. But it's not good. Pete, my Dropbox is nagging me because it's nearly full. I mean, we pay for Dropbox at MicrobeTV. We shut down our little company's business account. I hate OneDrive even more. So OneDrive is the Microsoft solution. But I don't like it. I mean, we're going to set up a NAS at the incubator, and that's how we're going to share our files. Yeah. Followed by black and yellow. Yeah, we are the champions playing in the background. Well, I don't know if it's too complicated for most folks. You can tell them your immunity to most infections is gone after measles. Yeah. Am I recalling correctly? Doctors can examine the tongue, throat. Yeah, the Koplik spots. And that's a potential sign of measles. Yeah. Is there any treatment a doctor can do for measles, or is seeing a doctor spreading the joy? Well, you have to monitor the child to make sure. Most of the time, if it's a mild measles, they go home, right? And you have to monitor for complicated measles, so that you have to tell the parents as a doctor, these are things that can happen. Please call us immediately if you see, any signs of pneumonia or neurological impairment and so forth, right? Yeah, if I can smell your breath, you're standing too close. It's just passing someone on the street, and they happen to be exhaling at the time that you pass them. Mostly they smell pot. They're smoking pot and they're exhaling. Well, in the old days of cigarettes, with cigarette smoke. Will smelling someone's breath outside, there are a couple of documented cases where COVID-19 was acquired as someone passed by an infected person outside at a bus stop. Is there any way to make RFK Jr. susceptible to measles again? He should feel what he recommends children suffer. He's vaccinated. For sure, he's vaccinated against everything, as MN says. He's totally vaccinated. He's a liar and a hypocrite. Legatic is generally sanguine about things, but measles is bad. You shouldn't be sanguine about polio. You shouldn't be sanguine about COVID when it causes people to die because they can't breathe and causes long COVID and screws up their life. You shouldn't be sanguine about, did I say polio, where you get paralyzed for your whole life? Ebola, where you bleed out and die? No, don't be sanguine, please. Kang asks me, are the start-stop codons for translation the same for transcription? No, they're different signals altogether, right? The transcription, the mRNA synthesis, I prefer to call it, occurs on the negative strand, right? The polymerase copies the negative strand. There are start and stop signals, make an mRNA. And then the mRNA has a separate protein synthesis initiation, which is typically an AUG codon. Elizabeth is convinced that RFK Jr. knows exactly what he's doing and he does not care. Cruelty is the point. Yes, measles fatalities. 1991 Philadelphia outbreak. A school suffered 35 deaths out of 1,000. Yep. Tony writes, Dr. Griffin spoke about MMWR of Colorado measles outbreak stemming from a person with measles on an international flight. He caused 7 other passengers to get infected, even those previously vaccinated. Yep, it was awful when the children had liver toxicity because he said take vitamin A or cod liver oil. It's criminal, totally criminal, absolutely. He's a tree lawyer. Yeah. Had not heard of SSPE before, and here's explaining it. Sounds god-awful. It's horrible. It's horrible. SSPE is reduced 90% by vaccine. Do we know if the 10% that still developed it got breakthrough measles or were they asymptomatic? That's a good question. I don't know, but I can look it up. I will find out. I like that question. Yeah. So what about the 10%? Why didn't it reduce it 100%? I don't know. Does measles virus RNA synthesis occur in membranous vesicles as with many other RNA viruses? Yes, it absolutely does. Yep. And yes, Michael Minna, who authored the paper with the data I showed you just now, he talked about an immune 26 a long time ago before he got really famous. Do you know what made him famous? He came on TWIV and said, I have a dipstick test right here to test for COVID antigen. Rapid, cheap test. That made him famous. Vincent is a very effective teacher. It's his prime strength. It is my prime strength. It's my only strength at the moment. Thank you. Vincent, were you saying people born in the 40s and alive today presumably have measles memory? Yes. So 50s and before, yeah. Does measles via immune amnesia influence the evolution of other childhood viruses? Yeah, it does. No, I don't believe anyone studied that, but that's an interesting, yes, because it will allow them to infect and evolve. Yeah. So yes, it does. And it's all because it reproduces in lymphocytes, right? Measles spreads by RFK Jr. talking. Perhaps a drug could be developed to prevent that path of spread. And Jill writes, these are just reported cases. The actual cases are likely much higher. Yes, they are higher because not a lot of mild cases are never tested. Yeah. Mark writes, why does it appear there's seasonality? Well, it is. Measles is seasonal. And in the U.S., it is a winter disease. Let's see exactly when. It's winter and temperate climates, yeah. U.S., U.K., and why is that? People are inside, indoors. The weather conditions are favorable for survival of infectivity. The timing of school schedules. Probably, we don't really know, but those are some of the ideas as to why it's seasonal. Does measles have an association with ME/CFS like SARS-2? No, that would be long COVID, right? No, not that I am aware of. Let's look it up because, it could be unreported. It is recognized as one of the viruses that may trigger ME/CFS, EBV, enteroviruses, herpes virus. I think many viruses can trigger a post-viral fatigue syndrome. Yep. So, yes, here is the login information for the quiz that I'm about to give you, okay? In a few moments, we'll go through some of these comments. Visto writes, Australia had 168 measles cases this year after none in previous years, most imported from overseas, but some locals catch it from Fox News. To admit, Kang writes, to an addiction to heroin and snorting cocaine off a toilet seat should have been a big red flag. But Kang, all of the people in this administration are defective and unqualified. John writes, some NAS systems have the ability to set up add-ons. I played with OwnCloud on mine, but didn't have a personal use case to continue. Yeah, I need to set it up so that we're going to have to run a VPN so that people can get in remotely securely. Yeah. Measles symptoms include the 3 C's, cough, coryza, and conjunctivitis, along with high fever and a rash that starts on the face and spreads downward. Hello, Rip de Camp from Taos, Mexico. Measles free so far. Very good. That's right. In a minute. Maybe you remember that episode. Hello, Barb Tries. Gonna watch from the beginning. I was watching TWIV 790. Wow. That's an old one. And yes, for eukaryotic transcription, you typically have a promoter, and we talked about that in virology. The lecture is up. What's the mode of action of the amnesia? We have a question from Aubrey and from Mark. The virus reproduces in lymphocytes, including memory cells, and destroys them. Yeah, the benefits of HPV vaccination for adults could do with more media coverage also. Yeah, so B cells eliminate your antibody memory, but it's also T cells, and it eliminates T cell memory as well. It is a shame that Mina really didn't have that test. He made everybody very, very excited. Okay, let's do a quiz. Okay, and let me set this up. So you got the login from Les there. Go log into Socrative, and in the meantime, I will start the engines. I'll start the quiz. And this is going to be Lecture 3, Genomes and Genetics. Okay, so the first question is, let me share this. Again, go to b.socrative.com/login/student, and the room name is virus. And there are 10 people here already, so it's working. Why is mRNA placed at the center of the Baltimore scheme? A, because all virus particles contain mRNA. B, there is no specific reason. C, because all viral genomes are mRNAs. D, because mRNA must be made from all viral genomes. And E, because Baltimore studied mRNA. So go to b.socrative.com/login/student, and the room name is virus. Okay, we got 17 out of 21. I'll give it another minute or so before we reveal. I know there are more of you here. There are like 100 of you. I don't see the number here for some reason. Okay, we're stuck at 18, so let's see how you did. So 65% of you got D because mRNA must be made from all viral genomes. So the Baltimore scheme lists 7 viral genome types, that's all there are, and how you get to mRNA in the middle of the Baltimore scheme. All virus particles do not contain mRNA. All genomes are not mRNA, and it's not because Baltimore studied mRNA. Okay. Let's try the next one. What information may be encoded in a viral genome? A. Complete protein synthesis systems. B. Centromeres or telomeres. C. Enzymes to replicate the viral genome. D. All of the above. 124 people, Questella. Yeah, only 25 want to take the quiz. You should be more. You should be into it. It's your choice. Sandy, you go to b.socrative.com/login/student. Room number is virus. And the quiz should be right there. We're on question number 2 now. Probably cleaning. You think so? Yeah. Okay, let's see how we did. You guys, 52% enzymes to replicate the viral genome. So that can be encoded in a genome. Complete protein synthesis systems. No virus encodes a complete protein synthesis system. Viruses don't encode centromeres or telomeres, and it's just enzymes to replicate the genome. Okay, 2 more. Which DNA genome on entry into the cell can be immediately copied into mRNA? Double-stranded DNA, gapped double-stranded DNA, circular single-stranded DNA, linear single-stranded DNA, or all of the above? Which can be immediately copied to mRNA. So this is, you have to know, unfortunately, the the requirements for transcription. You could cheat and ask ChatGPT. It would know the answer. If you put this, in fact, I did put this question into ChatGPT a while ago, and it got it right. Which DNA genome can immediately copy to mRNA? In other words, which genome configuration of these listed can be transcribed into mRNA? Let me ask. Let's ask Chat. No, that's the wrong thing. Hold on. Let's ask Chat. No, I'm going to do Gemini, actually. Which viral genome, it's going to get this wrong, I know, configuration can be immediate transcribed into mRNA? Clarifying immediate transcription. It's not sure. Oh, this is just so wrong. Nope, it's ChatGPT. Gemini didn't get it. Where did Socrative go? There, sorry. All right, we're almost done with this one. 22. We got a lot more people here, but nobody's answering. So let's see what we did. Hey, wow. Double-stranded DNA is the only DNA that can be transcribed immediately into mRNA. The gapped circular has to be made double-stranded. Single-stranded has to be made double. Same with single-strand. So the only substrate for transcription is double-stranded DNA. It can't be gapped or single-stranded. That's the key there. And one more question. Which statement about viral RNA genomes is correct? Plus, single-stranded RNA genomes may be translated to make viral protein. Double-stranded RNA genomes can be directly translated to make protein. Plus, single-stranded RNA virus replication cycles do not require a minus strand intermediate. RNA genomes can be copied by host cell RNA-dependent RNA polymerase, or all of the above. Which is right? This is harder. It's taking longer for you to answer. Yeah, I understand. Okay, let's see how we did. Okay, 32% of you got the right answer. Plus, RNA, single-stranded RNA may be translated to protein, right? That's the definition of a plus single-stranded RNA. Double-stranded RNA cannot be translated because the ribosome can't get at the plus strand in the duplex. Plus, single-stranded RNA viruses do not require a minus strand. Of course they do. How do you make more plus? You make a minus first. RNA genomes can be copied by host cell RNA-dependent RNA polymerases. No, there are no such proteins in the cell that can copy viral RNA genomes. Okay, you enjoy that, I hope. Let's see what we have here in comments. Yeah, I like this one. This is funny. Telomeres know what they want, and centromeres have legs like a half horse. Very funny. It's good. Yeah, so Opus, Claude. I tried Claude for the first time last week. So TWIV, the last TWIV 1297, right? Spillover squirrel. So I said to Claude, I said, make me a picture which, for the thumbnail for a podcast episode, which is we discuss the possibility that a squirrel is a reservoir host for Mpox virus. It got all upset that I was asking about Mpox virus. No, we can't use, we have to downgrade you to 4.0. We can't use 4.6. And you know what? I said, screw you. Screw you and your stupid dumbass LLM that doesn't know it's okay to ask questions about Mpox. And I left. I got really pissed off. Well, I just went to some other one. And I think I went to Gemini because it makes really nice figures with Nano Banana. And I got the thumbnail that you see. So I don't know about Claude. Right. Vanity got 4 out of 4. Very good. I like these quizzes. Thanks for creating them. You're welcome. Well, I created them for my course, and I am using them on you. But, I don't know if we can give you the exam because you're not watching the lectures now, and so it would be hard to the exam questions are tougher than these, All right, for the last thing for tonight, last time I read one poem of Sylvia Plath, and I want to read a couple more. So Sylvia Plath was an American author and poet, and is credited with advancing the genre of confessional poetry. And so, as you know, she had a troubled life. She took her own life in her 30s, but she was quite a productive poet, although a lot of it's dark. And so we have a few here. The first one is Edge. The woman is perfected. Her dead body wears the smile of accomplishment. The illusion of a Greek necessity flows in the scrolls of her toga. Her bare feet seem to be saying, "We've come so far, it's over." Each dead child coiled, a white serpent, one at each little pitcher of milk now empty. She has folded them back into her body as petals of a rose close when the garden stiffens and odors bleed from the sweet, deep throats of the night flower. The moon is nothing to be sad about, staring from her hood of bone. She's used to this sort of thing. Her blacks crackle and drag. Waking in winter. I can taste the tin of the sky, the real tin thing. Winter dawn is the color of metal. The trees stiffen into place like burnt nerves. All night I have dreamed of destruction, annihilations, an assembly line of cutthroats, and you and I inching off in the gray Chevrolet, drinking the green poison of stilled lawns, the little clapboard gravestones, noiseless on rubber wheels on the way to the sea resort. How the balconies echoed, how the sun lit up the skulls, the unbuckled bones facing the view. Space, space. The bed linen was giving out entirely. Cot legs melted in terrible attitudes, and the nurses, each nurse, patched her soul to a wound and disappeared. The deathly guests had not been satisfied with the rooms or the smiles or the beautiful rubber plants or the sea, hushing their peeled scents like old Mother Morphia. And maybe one of her most uplifting poems, Your. Clown-like, happiest on your hands, feet to the stars and moon-skulled, gilled like a fish. A common sense thumbs down on the dodo's mode, wrapped up in yourself like a spool, trawling your dark as owls do. Mute as a turnip from the 4th of July to All Fool's Day. Oh, high riser, my little loaf. Vegas fog and looked for like male, farther off than Australia. Bent-backed Atlas or traveled prawn. Snug as a bug and at home like a sprat in a pickle jug. A creel of eels all ripple. Jumpy as a Mexican bean. Right, like a well-done sum. A clean slate with your face on. Okay, that's Sylvia Plath. Hey, Ted Hughes next week, right? Eric is watching the lectures. Well, I can send you the exam if you'd like. I'm just not sure. It would take a long time to do it on stream, and I'm not sure I want to do that. Nano Banana, yeah, that's the image generation AI by Google. NPR had a really good radio piece about Claude Anthropic today. It's worth a listen. There's also a good article in the New Yorker I was reading today about it. Toner writes, when I heard Mpox being called the virus formerly known as monkeypox, all I could think about is the artist formerly known as Prince. That's right. Well, the virus is still monkeypox virus, according to the ICTV, and the disease has now been called Mpox by WHO. Does anyone pay $20 for ChatGPT Plus? I don't. I might at some point, but I'm not sure which one, right? So you could pay for 3. You have ChatGPT, you have Claude, and you have Gemini. And I'm not sure which one would get my money if I wanted to do that, but I don't know. Yeah, the words, her words are very powerful. There's a lot of bones, right? Like there's one here. The tin of the sky, burnt nerves. The trees stiffen into place like burnt nerves. How the sun lit up the skulls, the unbuckled bones facing the view. A lot of bones and white colors. Moon skulled, gilled like a fish. Very interesting. A traveled prawn. Yeah. Here's a poem for these times. Brecht's Schlecht Zeit für Lyrik. I'll have to read it. Mark is a paying subscriber to Claude. I also use ChatGPT, Gemini, and Edge, and my own local LLMs. The guy who wrote the article in the New Yorker is the same guy who was being interviewed on NPR. Very, very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Very secretive organization. Valued at $350 billion. Oh, my gosh. And Sandy's conflicted about using AI because I'm actively working to keep data centers out of the country I live in. I'm leaving the charge here. It's why our electricity bills are going up, right? Is that correct? Because they're using so much juice. Okay. Yeah, those were pretty dark poems. Darkly beautiful poems, a good kind of ouch. Yes, here is, that's an NPR article, right? People building Claude understand what they've created. Now, you may know that there was another kind of AI, which is called OpenClaw, right? Which was originally called Claude something, CLAWED. What was it called? So the original name was too close to Claude, so he changed it to OpenClaw, CLAW. But the previous name was had Claude in it. It was Claude at the beginning, CLAWED, and the Claude people said you can't do that. So now it's called OpenClaw, and it runs your computer, and it's really not a good thing because it can do a lot of weird stuff. Anyway, folks, that's it for tonight. Thanks to our moderators. Les was here. Vanity Nutrition was here. Tom Steinberg was here. And Barb Mack UK was here for a while. Thank you so much for joining us. And thanks to all of you 125 people who came and participated in everything here. ClaudeBot, right. It was originally ClaudeBot, and it's OpenClaw now. Thank you, Mark. Mark knows the tech stuff. We will be back next week. The date is, let's see. Today is the 18th. Next will be the 25th of February. Boy, folks, February is almost gone. Oh my gosh, 2 months of 2026. 2 months closer to November and Election Day. Thanks for coming, everybody. We will see you next week. In the meantime, I hope you stay safe and stay warm. And above all, stay curious. Ask why. Good night.